So, have you ever found yourself, sifting through endless self-help books or maybe different spiritual philosophies and just wondering which path actually holds up?
Oh, absolutely. It's a really fundamental human quest, isn't it?
Yeah.
This desire to understand what truly makes for a good life, a meaningful life, maybe even what some might call a holy life.
We're all kind of looking for that reliable compass, I guess, that bedrock of wisdom in
Right.
what often feels like just a huge sea of competing claims.
It really does. And what's truly fascinating is that this isn't just a modern problem. Humanity has been grappling with this exact question for, well, millennia.
And today we're doing a deep dive into an ancient text that tackles this head on. It's called the Sandakasutta.
Mm.
It's a really profound conversation from the Buddhist tradition, and it offers, I think, a remarkable framework for philosophical discernment that's still incredibly relevant for us today.
Yeah, very much so. We're pulling insights from this pivotal exchange between Ananda, who was a key disciple of the Buddha, and a pretty prominent wandering ascetic named Sandaka.
Oh, right, the one with the big following.
Exactly. He had like 500 followers with him. And the Sutta, it gives us this incredible snapshot of a really vibrant, maybe sometimes chaotic intellectual landscape back then.
So lots of different schools of thought, coexisting, debating.
Yeah, competing for adherence is a busy marketplace of ideas.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is to try and extract the universal criteria for what makes a path truly wise and reliable.
And here's the interesting twist.
Yeah.
We're going to do that by first understanding what a wise person, someone truly discerning, would deem utterly unacceptable or maybe unreliable in a spiritual journey.
Ah, okay. So starting with what not to do or what not to follow.
Precisely. And this isn't about, judging these ancient beliefs from our modern perspective.
Right.
It's really about understanding a timeless framework for critical thinking, something that can help you navigate your own search for meaning, right here, right now.
Okay, I like that approach. So set the scene for us. Where does this conversation happen?
Right. So imagine this. Ananda and some other monks are visiting a place called Devakasoba.
Okay.
And as they approach, they just hear this noise, a cacophony, really.
Noise. Like what kind of noise?
Well, it's Sandaka and his 500 followers, and they're deep in what the text calls loud worldly chatter.
Worldly chatter, like office gossip.
Kind of. Everything from, talk about kings and robbers to discussions about food, sleep, even women. It sounds honestly less like a spiritual retreat.
And more like, what, a busy pub?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
A bustling marketplace.
Huh. But then something changes.
It does. And this is telling. Sandaka spots Ananda approaching. Now, Ananda is known as a follower of the recluse Gautama, the Buddha, and they were known for preferring quietude.
Oh.
So Sandaka instantly silences his whole noisy assembly.
Oh, wow. Out of respect.
It seems so.
Yeah.
A subtle, but I think significant gesture of respect for a path known for its serenity, its quiet depth.
Okay. So Ananda arrives. He's invited to sit. Some pleasantries.
Right, the usual courtesies. Then Ananda asks, so what were you all discussing?
And does Sandaka tell him about the kings and robbers?
He actually deflects quite cleverly.
Oh.
Instead of answering directly, he says something like, never mind that. Perhaps you could share some insights from your teacher.
Ah, turning the tables.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Very. Puts the spotlight right back on Ananda.
And Ananda accepts.
He does. And this is where he sets the stage for the core teaching. He tells Sandaka that the Buddha identified not just the true path, but crucially also 4 non-holy lives and 4 unreliable holy lives. Paths that any truly wise person would, instinctively reject.
Okay, wait. 4 non-holy lives and 4 unreliable holy lives. Why start with what a path isn't? What's the thinking there?
That's a great question. It seems to be a powerful way to clarify what you should be looking for.
By first shining a light on what definitely won't lead to liberation.
Exactly. It's like a spiritual buyer beware guide from 2,500 years ago.
Okay, I get it. It helps you filter things out. So let's unpack that first set then. The 4 non-holy lives. These are the ones a discerning person would absolutely steer clear of.
Right. The first one is called annihilationism. The Pali term is natikavada.
Annihilationism. Okay, what's the core belief there?
It essentially posits that there are, no real consequences for actions, whether they're good or bad.
No consequences.
At all, pretty much. No afterlife, no concept of spiritual parents, no genuinely enlightened teachers. The idea is that when a person dies, they just dissolve. Poof.
Dissolve into what?
Back into their basic elements. Earth, water, fire, air, and the senses. They just merge into space. That's it. Gone.
So from that viewpoint, things like generosity or ethics.
Pointless. Even giving charity is seen as empty, false, because ultimately, whether you're wise or foolish, you end up in the same place, totally annihilated after death.
Right. And the practical takeaway for someone looking for meaning.
Well, think about it. If this teaching is actually true, why on earth would you bother with any difficult spiritual practice? Any asceticism?
Yeah, why endure hardship or practice kindness or try to cultivate wisdom if the end result is exactly the same as living a completely indulgent, maybe selfish life?
Precisely. It makes the whole idea of a holy life fundamentally meaningless.
Which is why it's deemed unacceptable.
Unacceptable, yeah. It's like working really hard for a big project at work when you know for a fact the company's going bankrupt next week. What's the motivation?
None. Okay, so that's annihilationism. What's the second non-holy life?
The second one is the no-action theory, or Akiriyavada.
No action. Does that mean just sitting around?
Not exactly. It's more radical. It asserts that there's literally no moral consequence for any action, no matter how extreme it is.
Wow. More extreme than the first one?
Oh, yeah. Things like killing, stealing, causing immense pain, adultery, none of it incurs any sin, any negative result. And conversely, acts of kindness, self-control, telling the truth, they don't yield any merit, any positive result either.
So it just doesn't matter what you do, morally speaking.
According to this view, no. The text gives this really stark, almost shocking example.
Okay.
It says even if someone were to, chop up all beings on Earth into a single heap of flesh with a razor-sharp wheel.
Oh, my goodness.
No evil, no negative karma would be generated from that act.
That's intense. So, again, if that's true, what happens to the idea of a holy life?
It completely dissolves.
Yeah.
If there are truly no moral consequences, then any kind of disciplined spiritual life loses its entire purpose.
Why strive for good if it brings no benefit? Why avoid evil if it causes no harm, at least to your own future?
Exactly. So this path, by making moral effort totally meaningless, is also an unacceptable foundation for a purposeful life.
It sort of reminds me of that, deep nihilistic feeling some people get into, like nothing matters anyway.
It has that flavor, definitely. Kind of moral nihilism. Okay, so third one.
What's number 3?
This is fatalism, or determinism. The term is ahetukovada.
Fatalism, like everything's predestined.
Pretty much. This view claims there are no real causes or conditions for why someone becomes defiled or purified.
It just happens.
Spontaneously, yes, without any identifiable reason. And crucially, this view states there's no such thing as personal effort or strength or human endeavor that can actually change your course.
So you're powerless.
Utterly powerless. You're entirely determined by fate or circumstance or your inherent nature. You just experience pleasure and pain as dictated across various kinds of existence.
Okay, so if everything is predetermined and my personal effort makes zero difference,
Then striving for purification, following a disciplined path.
it's futile, completely pointless.
Right. Whether you act virtuously or don't, the outcome is already fixed. So why live austerely? Why meditate? Why practice ethics if you'll be purified or stay defiled, regardless of anything you do?
This view just pulls the rug out from under any idea of personal responsibility or spiritual growth.
Exactly. Which makes it unacceptable as a basis for a holy life. It's like saying, why bother exercising or eating well if your lifespan and health are already completely set in stone?
Yeah, removes all agency. Okay, one more in this category.
Yes, the fourth of these non-holy lives. This one describes the immutability of 7 bodies. It's often associated with a specific school called the Ajivakas and sometimes called Nyativada.
Immutability of 7 bodies, that sounds complex.
It is a bit intricate. It posits these 7 fundamental things or elements: earth, water, fire, air, pleasure, pain, and the soul, or life principle.
Okay.
And the key idea is that these 7 things are uncreated, unchanging, and totally immutable. They don't move, they don't change, they don't affect or harm each other.
Wait, if they don't harm each other, what about violence? Or killing?
Well, according to this doctrine, when someone appears to kill someone else, it's not really a killing. It's just, say, a weapon passing harmlessly between these immutable bodies or elements.
That's a very different way of looking at things.
It is. And this doctrine also includes these incredibly vast, fixed cycles of existence, like unimaginably long periods spanning countless lifetimes.
Fixed cycles.
Yeah, through which everyone, both the foolish and the wise, must wander until suffering naturally ends, like a ball of string that finally unrolls completely after a fixed length.
And you can't speed it up? Or slow it down?
Nope. There's absolutely no way to hasten or slow this process through morality or vows or any kind of spiritual practice. It's all predetermined by these cycles.
So, just like the previous one, but maybe even more rigid, if your destiny and your eventual purification are entirely locked into these vast, unchangeable
And
cycles,
there's nothing you can do, no effort or moral conduct that can influence the outcome.
then what is the point of engaging in any kind of strenuous spiritual discipline? Any holy life?
Exactly. It's like being on a cosmic treadmill that's set to run for billions of years, and you can't change the speed or get off.
Yeah. For someone seeking genuine freedom, genuine change, this life is fundamentally unacceptable. It just drains all meaning from personal effort.
So those are the 4 non-holy lives, the dead ends, you could say.
Right. Paths that deny reality or the effectiveness of our actions in some fundamental way. Okay, so Ananda lays those out, but you said there was another category.
Yes, he doesn't stop there.
Yeah.
He also points out 4 types of paths that, while they might seem holy on the surface, maybe they're well-intentioned or they sound appealing. They ultimately prove to be unreliable in practice.
Unreliable. Okay, so maybe not outright wrong like the first 4, but shaky, not trustworthy.
Exactly, shaky ground. The first of these unreliable holy lives involves claims of omniscience without proof.
Omniscience, knowing everything.
Right, so here you have a teacher who claims to be fully omniscient. They claim to possess constant, uninterrupted knowledge and vision, whether they're walking, standing, sleeping, or waking, always knows everything.
That's a pretty big claim.
Huge claim. But here's where, as you say, the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
Despite this grand claim, this very same teacher might, enter an empty house expecting something and find nothing. Or they might go seeking alms food and fail to receive any. Or get bitten by a dog. Or run into a dangerous elephant or horse.
So everyday mishaps, things that suggest they didn't know what was coming.
Precisely. Or they might even need to ask someone for their name or ask for directions, things an omniscient being presumably wouldn't need to do.
And what happens when people point this out? Like, hey, I thought you knew everything.
Well, according to the text, when questioned about these obvious inconsistencies, they just kind of brush it off. They might say, oh, well, it just had to happen that way.
A convenient excuse.
Right. It avoids addressing the core contradiction. So the wise person reflects, if this teacher truly possesses constant, unbroken omniscience, why do these mundane uncertainties or misfortunes keep happening?
Yeah, why do they need to guess or explain away their lack of foresight?
Exactly. So a path based on this kind of unproven, clearly fallible claim of omniscience, it just can't be trusted. It's unreliable.
It's like a weather forecaster, claiming 100% accuracy but getting the rain wrong half the time.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't rely on that forecast. Okay, the second unreliable path.
What's next?
This is relying solely on hearsay or tradition.
Okay, so basing everything on ancient texts or what's been passed down.
Exactly. Where a teacher bases their entire doctrine only on ancient traditions, on what has been heard, on scriptural transmission, but without any personal, direct verification.
And what's the problem with that? I mean, tradition can be valuable, right?
It can be, absolutely. But the flaw highlighted here is relying solely on it. Information passed down through hearsay, through generations.
It can get distorted, misinterpreted.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It could be well heard or ill heard. It might be accurate or it might be inaccurate. It fundamentally lacks that direct personal verification.
So you're just taking someone else's word for it, potentially from centuries ago.
Right. So while tradition can be a guide, relying only on secondhand information, even venerable tradition is inherently unreliable because it could be mistaken.
Yeah.
It's not seen as a solid basis for true, verifiable wisdom.
Okay, makes sense. Need some firsthand experience too. What's the third unreliable path?
Number 3 is relying on mere logic or speculation.
Just logic. Isn't logic good?
Logic is an incredibly useful tool, absolutely. But here, the scenario is a teacher who presents their doctrine based purely on their own abstract reasoning, their own clever logical arguments, their speculative thinking.
So no meditation, no direct insight, just thinking really hard.
Essentially, yes. And Ananda points out that reasoning and speculation, no matter how brilliant or clever they seem,
They can still be wrong.
they can be well-reasoned or they can be ill-reasoned. They can lead towards truth or they can lead towards falsehood. Logic alone, without being grounded in direct insight or some kind of experiential verification, often isn't sufficient for ultimate truth.
I can see that. You can build perfectly logical arguments based on flawed premises.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So relying solely on logic can lead you down some wrong paths. It makes it an unreliable foundation for a holy life. Think of all the philosophical debates throughout history, very logical, but often ending in contradiction or just stopping without resolution because there's no way to test it directly.
Right. You need something more than just clever arguments.
Okay.
And the final unreliable path.
The fourth one is pretty straightforward: the foolish and confused teacher.
Okay. That sounds bad.
It is. It's pretty much what it sounds like, a teacher who is genuinely ignorant and bewildered themselves.
So how does that manifest?
Well, the flaw is painfully obvious.
Mhm.
When you ask this teacher questions, especially deep ones.
They don't have clear answers.
Worse than that, they give evasive answers or contradictory answers or just bewildering, nonsensical responses. The text gives examples like them saying, well, it is so, but it is not so. Actually, it is otherwise, but then again, it is not.
Oh dear, just tying you in knots.
Exactly, offering no clear guidance whatsoever. And the reflection is simple. How can you possibly trust someone to guide you on a profound spiritual journey if they can't even give a straight, consistent answer about their own teaching?
Yeah, that seems pretty obvious. If the guide is lost, you're not going to reach the destination.
Precisely. A teacher who can't provide clear, consistent answers is, by definition, not a reliable guide. Following such a person would be utterly unreliable.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 non-holy lives, the definite dead ends, and the 4 unreliable holy lives, the shaky grounds. Ananda has really laid out what a wise person would reject.
He has. It's a very systematic approach to discernment.
So what happens next? Does Sandaka just say thanks and go back to his worldly chatter?
No, quite the opposite. Sandaka is clearly impressed. He seems genuinely struck by this clear thinking, and he's eager to know the positive side.
Ah, so he asks the key question.
He does. He asks Ananda directly, okay, having heard what to avoid, what kind of teacher would a wise person follow? What is the reliable path?
And this leads us to the core of the Buddha's teaching, right?
Exactly. This is where Ananda transitions to describing the path taught by the Buddha.
So what does he say? How does he describe the teacher, the Buddha?
He starts by describing the qualities of the Tathagata. That's a term for the Buddha, meaning something like one who has thus gone or thus come.
Okay.
Ananda describes him as the ultimate trustworthy guide, fully enlightened, accomplished in both wisdom and ethical conduct, a knower of worlds, an unsurpassed trainer of people who are ready to be trained, a teacher of both gods and humans.
So establishing the credentials, basically, the solid foundation.
Yes, this is the kind of teacher you can rely on. And then he describes the path itself.
Which isn't based on speculation or just tradition.
No, it's presented as a progressive experiential journey. It starts with cultivating the mind through meditative absorptions, the jhanas.
Jhanas. These are deep states of concentration.
Very deep, yes. States of highly purified concentration, where you step beyond the usual buzz of sensual desires and unwholesome mental states.
How does that work?
The Buddha teaches a step-by-step method to calm the mind and enter these progressively deeper states. The text mentions 4 main jhanas. They lead to profound states of bliss, happiness, then deep equanimity, and an incredible purity and stillness of mind.
And the key is that these are experiences.
Exactly. They aren't just ideas you believe in. They are direct, verifiable experiences that actually transform your mind from the inside out.
Okay, so meditation is foundational. What comes after or alongside the jhanas?
Beyond these states of concentration, the path culminates in what's called threefold knowledge, or vijja in Pali. This is the deep insight component.
Threefold knowledge. What are the 3 parts?
The first is the recollection of past lives.
Wow. Actually remembering past lives?
Yes, the ability to recall, often in vivid detail, countless past existences where you were, what you were called, what you experienced.
What's the purpose of that?
It provides this deep, undeniable, experiential insight into the vast scope of existence, the nature of rebirth, and the long journey of consciousness. It's not just a theory anymore.
Okay, that's one. What's the second knowledge?
The second is the divine eye, or the knowledge of the passing away and rebirth of beings.
Seeing how others are reborn.
Yes, the ability to directly perceive beings dying and then being reborn in different states according to their actions, their karma.
So seeing cause and effect in action across lifetimes.
Exactly. It's described as a direct, undeniable observation of that universal law. You see how choices and actions directly shape future experiences. It removes doubt about moral causation.
Okay. Past lives, seeing rebirth. What's the third and presumably the ultimate one?
The third is the ultimate insight. It's the knowledge of the destruction of taints, or sabakayanya.
Destruction of taints. What are taints?
Taints or asavas are the deep-seated mental defilements or outflows that keep us bound in the cycle of suffering. Primarily, they are sensual desire, the desire for continued existence, like clinging to life, and ignorance, not understanding the true nature of reality.
Ah, okay, so this knowledge destroys those.
Yes, this knowledge is the direct, personal, experiential understanding of the Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, its origin, craving, and ignorance, its cessation, nirvana, and the path leading to its cessation.
And this understanding isn't just intellectual.
Not at all. It's a penetrating insight that completely eradicates those taints, those defilements from the mind. It leads to the full realization of liberation, of freedom. This is the pinnacle of the path.
Wow. Okay, so if someone achieves this, if their taints are destroyed, they're called an arahant, right?
And that's right. An arahant is a fully liberated one.
What does that look like in their daily life? How does their conduct change?
The Sandakasutta puts a strong emphasis on their unwavering conduct. An arahant is described as being utterly incapable of certain actions.
Incapable, like they just can't do them anymore.
Essentially, yes. Incapable of intentionally killing a living being, intentionally stealing, engaging in any sexual activity, speaking intentional falsehoods, or hoarding possessions like a layperson might.
So their moral purity isn't just like trying hard.
No, it's described as absolute and unshakable. It's a natural consequence and outflow of their inner liberation. The root causes for that kind of behavior are gone.
And internally, how do they know they're liberated?
That's another crucial point. An arahant experiences a constant awareness that their taints are destroyed.
Constant, like 204/7.
Yes, whether they are walking, standing, sleeping, or waking, it's not something they have to remind themselves of or believe in or affirm. It's just a constant, undeniable internal knowing.
How does Ananda explain that? It sounds hard to grasp.
He uses a really vivid, almost stark analogy to drive the point home.
Okay.
He says, just as a person whose hands and feet have been severed
Oh, wow.
is constantly, unavoidably aware, whether walking, standing, sleeping, or waking, that their limbs are severed.
Right. They wouldn't forget that for a second.
Exactly. In the same way, Ananda says, an arahant is constantly, directly aware that their defilements, their taints, are destroyed, gone forever.
That's powerful. It makes it feel very real, very permanent, not just a concept, but a lived, known reality.
Precisely. It's not theoretical. It's a profound, permanent, internal state of being.
So after laying all this out, the unreliable paths, the reliable path, the nature of liberation, does Sandaka ask about, like, numbers? How many people actually achieve this?
He does, or rather, Ananda addresses it. And his answer is really striking, especially in the context of the times.
How so?
He states that it's not just a few, not just hundreds, but far more have attained this liberation through the Buddha's teaching.
Far more. Why is that significant?
Because it directly contrasts with the claims of some other teachings mentioned earlier, like the Ajivakas, remember the immutable bodies guys?
Yeah, the ones with the fixed cycles.
Their tradition apparently claimed that only a tiny handful of people had ever reached the end of suffering in their specific lineage. The text names 3. Nandavacha, Kisasokika, and their main teacher, Makali Gosala.
Just 3, compared to far more.
Exactly. So Ananda's statement is a powerful testament to the perceived efficacy and maybe the genuine accessibility of the Buddha's path compared to some alternatives. It's not just for a chosen few.
Okay, so that must have made an impression on Sandaka and his followers.
It certainly seemed to have impressed Sandaka himself. The text says he expresses amazement and wonder at the Buddha's teaching, acknowledging its profound wisdom.
So does he convert? Do all his followers join Ananda?
Well, here's the fascinating and perhaps very human final part. There's this moment where Sandaka turns privately to his own 500 followers.
Privately, what does he say?
He tells them basically, look, the holy life taught by the recluse Gautama, by the Buddha, is truly beneficial. It works.
Okay, so he acknowledges the truth of it.
He does. But then comes the kicker. He admits, almost wistfully perhaps, that for him and his followers, it's just not easy to give up their current way of life.
What's holding them back?
Their gains, their honor, the fame they have as wandering ascetics in their own tradition, the worldly attachments.
Yeah. Wow. So he sees the better path, acknowledges it's better, but admits they're stuck.
Pretty much. This private moment is so revealing, isn't it?
Yeah, it shows how the power of truth can be clear. You can recognize it.
But the pull of worldly attachments, status, comfort, reputation, can still present a huge barrier to actually committing fully.
It really underscores that understanding the truth intellectually is one thing.
But truly acting on it, truly letting go and committing to the path, that requires immense courage. It requires a willingness to maybe sacrifice those short-term gains, that status.
It's that choice between maybe convenience and conviction.
Beautifully put, convenience versus conviction. And that dilemma feels just as relevant today as it was back then.
What a journey we've taken today, then. We've really navigated this rich landscape of ancient philosophy
We have. From outright nihilism like annihilationism,
to the rigid constraints of fatalism and determinism.
and we explored why a discerning mind, a wise person, would wisely reject teachers who rely on, shaky claims of omniscience, or just hearsay, or purely abstract logic without experience.
Those unreliable paths.
And then we saw how the Buddhist path, as presented by Ananda, stands apart.
By offering something verifiable, experiential.
Exactly. A journey through meditative practice, through direct, profound knowledge and insight.
Leading not just to understanding, but to, well, that unwavering moral purity and deep, permanent liberation of the arahant.
Right. The core insight, I think, is that true wisdom, true liberation, seems to come from that direct experience, that clear, unshakable understanding.
Not just from thinking about it or believing what someone else says.
Precisely. Not just intellectual speculation or blind faith.
So for everyone listening, what stands out to you from this deep dive? Maybe think about that wise person's reflection we talked about for each of those ancient philosophies.
Yeah. How might applying that same kind of critical thinking, asking, if this were true, what would the implication be for my effort? How might that apply to modern-day claims?
Whether those claims are about health or wealth or happiness or spirituality, how could that help you distinguish what truly offers a reliable, fulfilling life?
From what might just be, an unacceptable dead end or an unreliable path that sounds good but doesn't really hold up?
Perhaps it's that importance of personal verification we saw, testing things out for yourself rather than just accepting things blindly.
Or maybe it's recognizing that real freedom, lasting freedom, lies in that deep understanding and direct experience, not just in holding a particular belief.
So, what might you choose to explore further in your own search for meaning, based on these ancient criteria for wisdom?